Honor to read with such auspicious company. And I'm thinking about whether I pick the poems that I want to survive me. A number of people in the room have actually heard me read from this book, so I am going to read a few more recent poems because most of the poems that were in that book I turned in a manuscript in May of 2014, so I have been writing since then. And in a gesture towards my my academic co-readers, I'm going to read a real recent poem that's set on a university campus. I'm pretty comfortable with the poem. I should show you. See the big V shape? That should be clear partway through the poem. But I'm not sure about the title. In the course of checking the poem, I Googled to see whether or not the term blue-checked shirt would be hyphenated. And the big window on Google said, how to wear a blue-checked shirt. And I went, I kind of like that title. I don't know whether it's, we'll find out. Some of you will probably go, oh no, oh no, oh no. How to wear a blue-checked shirt. Natural to scrunch against a pinstripe of negative replies. Make your sortie into the sun-vanished blanket of autumn fog, so filled with small torments, you overlook the sumac gone scarlet overnight, and the infinitesimal V of sandhill cranes threading urgencies into the high white clouds. On a threadbare lawn, students hold outdoor blankets down, adjusting elbows or a knee. Shift their oversized paperbacks. Feel their fresh air sleeves. Earbuds pulse as they fly passages between this afternoon and your deep blue-checked gravity. Migrants blurting head first across heights. This was a poem written before the elections also. In fact, the prompt was back in 2015. But it's a place that keeps coming up even today in terms of the truthfulness of record. The poem is called Veritas, which means truth. Brood on the baselessness of old-timers, tattered credos, a scowl that will start the rennet working. 3 Russian girls get jailed for twerking in the foreground of a Soviet war memorial. Prophesy, dear juveniles and profane. How many wild oats would you sow hugging a Cyrillic plaque? This is what men fight for. Young women with a lust for alien rhythms, their limber larceny, a relief from monstrous carnage, devastation not assuaged by military bronze. Men clash for honor and license. This reaching out, reefer madness, the right to vote, a Thunderbird convertible, a turquoise frangipani tattoo. Sanction is sown badly on fatherlands. Hostile jaws and grasping treasuries, these are obscene, not kids just juking in gaps of daylight. And if you're interested in preparation for reading that poem this evening, I looked up Pussy Riot, the trio, and there's an amazing interview by a New York Times reporter who met with one of the principals in Miami. She was there for Art Basel in December after the election. And she has some very interesting things to say about the importance of a free press and about scrutiny of what passes for news and the sort of bullying that seems to be carrying the day. I'm going to read one more new poem, and then I'm going to jump into poems from the book. Two of the things that I think about the most are, of course, climate change. But the other one is our epidemic of mass shootings and our amnesia for community responsibility with respect to each other in the Second Amendment. So the poem is called Fugue State After Orlando. And there's two voices. If you saw the poem, you would see that there's lines in between there in italics, and then there are lines that begin with we. Fugue State After Orlando. We braid memorial wreaths from languor and blood loss, for there is no difference. We dive under a blanket of hapless sirens and owl hoots between Muslim, Jew, and gay. We marinate moans in a sitz bath of worn replies. How shall they call on hymns? We clip our nails with tantrums and nonchalant aim. Beautiful feet carry the peace. We pray for balmy weather beneath vast incinerator blossoms. Whom have they not believed? We hammer tabernacle stakes that have no mooring, no valence, no grasp. Shall they hear without being bent? We water a tree whose roots are made of wind. Those are all part of a manuscript I'm putting together called Failed States. All the rest of them are from Wishmeal, which came out in October. So it's a relatively new book. Wishmeal. This is the title poem. Dawned on her she was no girl. Sour mash wove palpable in the morning air. Corn-fed hogs nuzzled leaves of the red oak. Sun emerged from a mackerel slit along the east hills. She was a girl's glimmer. To be unwed in the mesh of duty and delectation required a soul like a blacksmith, the anvil of insouciance, hardened by pounding fun. She spread abundance over the rumpled county like a comforter. What else to settle the draws and hollows, the holding ground of steeple, the relic piers and wing walls, teasing shadowy current? She was no longer a girl, but she glimmered, the kernel seasoned, milled, sweetened by task. And maybe this poem is, maybe the woman at the heart of this poem is her out west cousin. I grew up in the Middle West, close enough to the Ohio River that I know what sour mash smells like. This is her cousin, probably, over in Central Oregon. It's called Breakage, and it's a vamp on the word break. She broke heels at the county hootenanny. He broke ankles in a barn burner blaze. They broke records on the frozen lawn. They broke across state lines, gunning her flamingo dollhouse coupe. Valentine's Day chill broke water mains in the community center where they nibbled and danced. Teeth on his harrow were broken from the steel crossbar under grasp of a buried ancient stone. The guy who promised disability checks by April for her broken millwright rode a stallion of fog into a culvert down near Bake Oven. The pulpit broke with tradition to sail along a smudged tree line. Her waters broke one night out in Ty Valley while apples sweetened in their cues. He broke his back, soaking confidence in mirrors. Her mother called the vet nearby to break a vow, press the scalpel, tug and knot his suture, dress the tear. I'm going to read this poem. My son, who's 21, said it was his favorite poem in the book. Dear God, I have learned watching children doze to make fierce with the shadow of death. My thoughts turn to you every spring when flowers come too fast to really appreciate. Also at Christmas, when you bully your way past playground guards to brighten nights of rain. I didn't get that part about you going to prepare a place for us. Why can't you finish what you started? I'm wondering if there's an extended warranty for that survival kit you sent me years ago. It sat on the closet floor so long, the instructions must have gotten wet because the words run together. Is there any burden in taking up a small gold cross? I have never forgotten the cigarettes we smoked together, riding our bikes down the streets of Avalon, where they were building new houses. How old were we? 10? 11? There are afternoons you haunt me when the fly fishing sucks. Neither of us have done well keeping promises. Actually, that was a favorite of the collection of David James Duncan, a writer for whom fly fishing must occasionally suck. I'm going to read 3 more. I wrote this poem. My mother had Alzheimer's and was institutionalized for 10, 11 years before she finally passed, and didn't recognize me the last 8 years or something. So when flu went through the nursing home where she stayed, I knew it was a matter of time, but going back would have been pointless. Since I knew I'd be going back for the memorial service, I was going to see my 2 brothers and family members anyway. So I sort of wrote this out of that distance. The poem is called "The Swan's Metal Voice Rings Like a Harp," and that's a line from Giovanni Pascoli. We come to a hospice room, convalesce, to hear riffles of solace in the itinerant harp where the hallway turns. Must our first tentative lick at the tangerine lollipop lace itself in this corset of regret? Can't we just hum harmonies of swollen spring afternoons without quibbles, without Father Time filing his teeth snootily between the sailing bag and the sanitized curtain? We pause outside the elevator, look to the player's fervent strum, uncertain whether our reconnaissance goes up or down. The harpist builds a melody out of needles while we crowd the spent bed. In a very different vein, I'm trying to read new things that people haven't heard because some of you are in the choir, you know. This is kind of a love poem. It's called Miniature. When we see best, looking with our fingers and moist lines of skin crisscrossing our palms, we discover nostrils in the soft bellies inside each elbow, and vestigial gills resonate in the bones behind our ears. We cannot be rushed or bullied, are always late, but never tardy. Our footfalls running to the dresser or trudging in from the garage become minuets in dissipating heat, fractal legends. The body informed learns again this desperate splendor of being whole and wholly overwhelmed. We make ourselves firsthand a reminder, limpet, amulet, pine cone. This last poem I'll read relies on a plasticity of language. As a poet, you have to allow for a certain malleability that maybe you don't get away with if you're writing prose. So it's sort of a pun. If you understand superlatives, you know, fast, faster, fastest, thin, thinner, thinnest. The occasion, I think, was prompted by friends of my kids. We raised 3 kids. They survived us, I think. And they'd have friends over for dinner, and about halfway through they'd go, "God, you should be the ones on TV." The reality show. Apparently we all talked over top of each other and in between. And so hence, you know, thin, thinner, thinnest. So the title is Dinner. And then the superlative cases out there. Dinner. Here we are at the strewn table, hungers sated, the napkins rumpled or soiled like toddlers after the first spring day. Hemmed by pictures of laughing or tyranny we've mitered and framed, our escapes, or executions of ordinary land, lawns, blossom, the unusually gnarled limb, a bemused cheek. The check waits face down, not for the waiter to return. We're home after all, and costs are exorbitant, far, far beyond what any visited salon should bear. Dinner, dentist. Somewhere lanais exist designed to display domestic triumph. Come back. What would it mean to de-nest? The superlative case, a ticket in hand, standing at the dock in the rain. Birds fledging out of this orbit of must song. Thank you.